It is officially Ardelia Day. Oh, yes! Yeah, boy. So, for those who are unaware, if you log in for 3 days, if you missed day 1, it will be tomorrow for you. We now have our freaking Dahlia. It is, in fact, Ardelia Day, alright? If you're watching this, I just want to say thank you for the recent support. We've been doing pretty good, as has been our Endfield release. And yeah, if you're watching this, please like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff if you see fit. If not, perfectly fine. But it is Ardelia Day. And I think a lot of people are going to be asking the questions of how do you use Ardelia? What is Ardelia really good for? Okay, and that's kind of what we're here for. So let's get into it without further ado. Now, I have been running, I have a few things to click through here. I have been running through the whole game with a free-to-play team. As you can see, it has been Fluorite, Estella, Antal, and last but definitely not least, Akikuri. I can't believe I missed her at the start there. But I have been running this game as bare bones as possible, and I've been having a lot of fun. Now, this team is missing, how you say, healing, which is where Ardelia steps in, okay? I get she's a 6-star, but don't shoot me, she is free to play. You literally get her and her weapon for just signing into the game for 7 days, okay? Her weapon being on day 7, I think. Maybe it was day 10, one of the two. But let's go through and explain what she does, because she is legitimately such an elite character to be for free on everyone's accounts. Just because of that lack of a natural healer, is also like pseudo damage as well as element reactions, alright? So going into her kit, you will see her basic attack gives 18 stagger on final strike if I move my dumbass face game out of the way. And dive attack in mid-air does basic nature damage, all the basic generic stuff you get on rank 1, okay? And now the skill works pretty simply, okay? Hops on Mr. Dolly, which, if you guys don't know, is actually the ram. Let me move this out of the way just so this is easier to go through. Hops on Mr. Dolly and rams the target to deal nature damage. If the target has corrosion, then consume, which is, as you can see here, various example and arts debuffs that can be ended early. For example, crush consumes vulnerabilities and combustion consumes arts, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. When you stack up things, use the same element, it depletes it. And applies physical susceptibility and arts susceptibility, which is absolutely amazing. In team building, we'll get into it in a bit, but for example, this should be able to swap out almost anyone because there is a direct reward for infliction of corrosion. That being said, she is not going to be the one who hits it because she doesn't have arts infliction on it as of right now. Maybe her ultimate does. Let's have a look. She has a combo trigger, which in this game is probably the most important thing you can possibly have. It is the whole entire ethos of the way combat does work, and it reads as the following. When the controlled operator performs a final strike on an enemy with no stacks of vulnerability, which is pretty easy to do, the only issue is this is going to be done through having her as your main unit, which is a bit negative. There will be some swapping in and out that may be required on your team composition now, with having her in mind to hit full efficiency. And for those who are curious, yeah, you cannot do final strike from a non-controlled point of view. NPC on the field can't do final strikes. It is only controlled player, as you can see here. Final strike is the last sequence of basic attack. It is controlled by the operators. When the controlled operator's final strike hits the enemy, it also deals stagger and resource some skill points, okay? Bear that in mind. So you will have to have some switching around, which at this point in the game is a bit of a mixed concept because a lot of teams are primarily built with one controlled unit, never having to swap, and just spamming everyone else on their effect and combo triggers. But I think this is where a little bit of the skill will somewhat come in or somewhat seep through, where you have to use a bit more neurons. Now remember, this game isn't exactly insanely difficult, but it is worth noting, to get full efficiency, maybe limit testing accounts, you may need to have a little bit more flair in what you're doing, a bit more reaction and being reactive to the battlefield, versus doing a final strike, hitting E, hitting E, hitting E, hitting E, because everyone else is built around the strikes of all your other subsequent operators, okay? Just something to keep in mind. Launching a homing volcanic cloud at the target enemy that deals nature damage when close enough to the target. The volcanic cloud explodes after a short delay, dealing half of the nature damage and forcibly applying temporary corrosion to nearby enemies. Now, I'm going to assume this doesn't just put corrosion no matter what. I think you still need to have them on the field with a infliction of somewhere else, but she doesn't push nature infliction. Even in her ultimate, we have it confirmed here. Ardelia enters a mobile channeling state and summons the aid of Mr. Dolly. Multiple copies of Mr. Dolly are thrown in random directions. Each copy deals nature damage. Each enemy can only take one damaging hit every 0.3 seconds, so it can't spam insta-kill. It's the volcano. If you played original Arknights, This is just Aethiala reskinned. It's why she's got a similar Ardelia, sounds somewhat similar, at least at the end of it. Her Volcano is like her whole thing. Pretty much just like quick time, multiple target damage, okay? It's not a lot of damage, but it's enough to be conscious of that it will definitely help. And also, for those who wonder how she is a healer, her system is very unique in the way that when she fights, Mr. Dolly, this ram you see here, actually falls out onto the field. Like, for example, in my team, as much as I wouldn't want to take our Antal because he is so good, hypothetically for this, we will put him in. We'll swap him out and put in Ardelia. So if we take over Ardelia, right, and just go to a regular fight, providing I don't get one hit here, Final Strike with no vulnerabilities is how you get her combo trigger to hit. So you'll see it here. Yep, combo trigger, bang, pushes out. When you get to skills being used, as you can see, it pops down rams on the field. So these are direct heals. You pick them up, no one's damaged, but when you do hit them, they do return HP. So she is a healer in that sense, not in a traditional directly apply it to somebody, but enough to be conscious of actually making a difference in higher end fights and stuff that is struggles. So if we try and build around the actual concept of the combo attacks here, we have nature inflictions on everything, bring in this is a combo because it makes freeze. It's decent, right? Obviously she's doing no damage right now, but this is more or less how she is built. She is built to be the support, but I think the weirdest thing about her is that she is built to also be the front runner, which is interesting. She's meant to be the controlled player. So I really think you should keep that in mind if you do choose to run her. Now, the only issue I have with Ardelia being the way Ardelia is there isn't really other options. Oh, I'm level 3 already, that's cool. There aren't exactly other direct great options to really pick between, right? We don't inherently have other supporters, 5-star or otherwise, that are healing based, that are, you know, really that good. Like, I love Jai, and she is amazing, don't get me wrong, she could probably be a substitute. But again, Ardelia is free, so substitutes are a bit of an interesting kind of conversation, because she doesn't cost anything other than what you're actually putting into a unit from time played, from resources farmed. So she isn't a pullable character. If I was to be brutally honest, I wouldn't pull her if I had her on a banner. That is the hard truth, as much as I love her and her character. She isn't exactly perfect to the point of wanting a 120 pull guarantee, right? But it also doesn't mean she's bad. She is free. You should really be bearing that in mind. But if we are to think of substitutes, I would probably look at the idea of a Jaihi, mainly because of the auxiliary crystals. As you can see, they restore operator HP, and this is her skill. So when you rip her skill, it puts something out in the air, which is a crystal, and then that gets directly returned and hits you directly. You don't have to be chasing it. This is more automatic, but I think the trade-off here is probably the ultimate, just being a buff versus direct damage. Now, the buff being Cryo Amp and Nature Amp does kind of work in the team comp, for example, I'm running now. If you're running like a main Flora, for example, and an Estella, same thing can kind of be said if you were running, let's say, it would work if you're running a Snowshine, which is like pseudo sub DPS, and also sub DPS in Perlica too, it would work for her as well. So there are some team comps you can think of. But I'd say maybe the thing that you would have on Jaya over someone like a Ardelia is the fact that her combo skill actually gives infliction. There is element of infliction both in combo skill, there is an element of infliction in the actual combo skill, which Ardelia has no way. She cannot apply nature infliction regardless of what she does. She can only stack on top of already existing damage if corrosion has already been met, which is 2 inflictions. So for example, this team would work with an Ardelia. But if you were to take Ardelia out and actually put Jaya in, it would work just as well. Because you get Cryo and Nature Amp buffs, which directly apply to an Estella and a Fluorite, which can also apply to like a Snowshine or a Last Ride if you have a Last Ride. I don't have a Last Ride. My luck is actually cheeks right now. That's why I'm not pulling. I'm waiting for the Yvonne banner, but I digress. Yvonne's also another great example if you want to run Jaya instead. In terms of nature, I think your options are Li Feng. Wait, hold on. Are you telling me the only other nature in the game is actually Fluorite? No. That can't be right. Surely not. I know Gilberta is, but again, she is not a DPS. She is a support. Am I missing something? No, I am not. This is actually the only way you can hit corrosion in the game right now. If you pulled Super Lucky and got a Gilberta, there is some support there you can set up that may work. But as of right now, it is only Fluorite. So I don't want to be that guy to really push the envelope, so to speak, of power creep, because it's especially in Arknights, it's never really been a thing. As I mentioned in previous videos, there are the module system in base Arknights that brings old characters that are no longer good due to power creep back up to equal footing with the new gen characters, so they are still usable and your account pick wasn't bricked, alright? Arknights are really good with stuff like that. But as of right now, nature is only available to be inflicted through 2 6-stars, one of which is free, the other one which is on a 7% on the banners because it's not actually out yet. She triggers on battle skill, which is good, and she also triggers on ultimate, which is good too. So that can work there. You can run a double support here too, but you would probably need to be running in that situation, hypothetically, another infliction DPS and sub DPS. Mainly, if I was to pick, probably of lightning and fire. You could use cryo would work as well. But as of right now, as you can tell, your options are somewhat limited. I also want to mention Wu Lin, it being kind of the element and environment it's in. It's probably a really abundant pool of characters that probably side with nature as well. So, as much as Ardelia is free, and she is good right now, there's a bit more setup required as of it stands in a 1.0 to make her fully viable, but she will only get better as time goes on. So if you want to invest your current credits and XP and all of your mats into them as of right now, I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think it's an early investment for later game reward when we get to the 1.1 and 1.2 of the game as it stands, right? Which, doing the math on it right now, is probably towards the first week of March, second week of March, okay? So until then, there's probably not much nature going on in the game. The one thing I do want to check is how many elements as well have very little. Everyone's got 4 or 5. Oh my god, nature is actually weaking. So I guess that's the catch-22. If you want to build Ardelia, if you run Fluorite, you're in the clear, brother. Shake my hand right fucking now. If you don't, and you got lucky and got Gilberta somehow, I hate you as much as I love you, but that will work. But if you don't use those 2 characters, it's definitely a bit of a cripple. Now, I want to also say again, for the 3rd time here, we're nowhere near endgame right now. Some people are at level 50. I don't know how they got there, but they got there. Endgame is still in a while, but I do think people will hit endgame before 1.1, which is where you'll probably want to start thinking about team comps, first halves, like two sets of teams, all these variables, as well as just trying to get direct enjoyment out of the game, all right? But hey, does it really matter when she looks like this good? Like, legitimately, this character design is like fucking amazing, all right? And anyone who's played Arknights base game, you probably, like, you want to build your Aethiala because she is the GOAT, right? What she did in the first, like, year of the game, unprecedented. Absolute nuker, okay? Could just wipe the whole map with infinite volcano syndrome, right? It was something to behold. I'm going to be building her, mainly because I only have 4 stars and I'm trying to push the free-to-play envelope of pull who you want, not who you need, to prove as well she's not a bad pick. You just got to run Fluorite, but people don't want to touch Fluorite because she's a 4-star and not a 5-star or a 6-star. I digress. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. I might even be live right now. If that's the case, drop in, ask me some questions. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye now.